Hello, and thank you for tuning in once again. I hope you're doing well. You are tuned into The Encourager, and my name is Nehru. Thank you so much, first of all, for tuning in, and I hope you are, again, enjoying the start to your new year. We are just a mere 2 days in, and yet it's going to go by fast, and probably faster than last year, exciting times, certainly spiritually and energetically for the earth overall, for the collective, where if you've identified your position amongst the collective as what have you, light worker, starseed, empath, healer, oracle, there's all sorts of really, it's kind of infinite. But today, I hope you're continuing to do the work to discover who you really truly are. As promised on yesterday, I want to speak about celibacy, and specifically for men. So in the title, it will be focused. You'll see that it'll say that, it's focused for men, but obviously women as well, right? Benefit the same way in many ways. There are some different benefits when looking at males compared to females when it comes to celibacy. Okay, and so celibacy is the physical restraining of oneself towards physical urges, whatever those urges are. We know those urges to be sexual in nature, or physical, intimate type of actions. And so, as I've mentioned in the past, I am currently on my third stint of celibacy, and I can definitely say for sure that I have benefited from both of the prior two celibacy stints, I guess you could say. And for men, I know specifically, man, this is challenging for a lot of reasons. And to be honest with you, the majority of it is psychological. I will say that right from the beginning, okay? So the majority of the challenges associated with living a celibacy life for a period of time is psychological, okay? And it really boils down to who's the stronger, your spirit man or your physical man. We've all given in to that at various times in our life when we probably shouldn't. It wasn't to our advantage or in our best interest to, but we did anyway, and that includes myself, okay? So don't think that I'm infallible, or that yeah, you know what I mean? So again, I've had relationship with, or not a relationship, it was sex with a woman who was married while I was in Germany 4 or 5 years ago or something. And it was once. I felt like crap afterwards. That's definitely the reason why, yeah, that didn't happen again. That was all I could think about was the husband afterwards. And that was not a good feeling. And it took me a long time to forgive myself for that. Yeah, it took a long time. And I don't laugh because it's funny. I laugh because that was really an unnecessary karmic situation that I really did not have to be involved in. I really did not have to make that choice, but I did. Okay. And so today, for both men and women, sex is everywhere. Sex is in everything. It's kind of like hip hop. Everything's hip hop today. The Tide commercials for laundry detergent are hip hop. The music they play in the stadiums at sporting events, most of it is hip hop. I mean, everything is going that way, right? And so everything is also sex. That's why entertainers wear less and less. This is why the general public wears less and less. I've often commented on how you can dress sexy women and not look like a clown with your 3-inch fake eyelashes on. Nobody's eyelashes are naturally that long. Okay, and so I'm always urging women, if you want to use those things, at least make them look natural. Okay, there is not a brown woman well, I can't say in this world. Most women, I guess Vanessa Williams maybe, most women who are brown skinned are not born with any sort of hair color that resembles blonde. All right, it's just not. Okay, and so again, there's nothing wrong with wigs. I prefer the more natural, right? Because otherwise I could go to a store and buy a mannequin, you know, because yeah, I don't want to be squeezing on plastic. I don't want to be kissing plastic. I don't want to be sucking on plastic. I don't want to be, pushing up against plastic. You know what I mean? I don't want any of that. Unless it is for corrective surgical procedures or something. You know what I mean? And again, that's me, right? Y'all like them fake jelly ass plump booties? Go for it. You know what I'm saying? You like sucking on silicone? Go for it. But that's not me. Okay, we all have our preferences. Okay, so you don't have to be out here looking like a slut, a hoe. You don't have to be out here showing camel toes and all that dumbass. You don't need to be doing that, women. Stop degrading yourself. And then you get mad when a man treats you like that. Granted, he has issues if he's treating you like that. Stop treating yourself like that, and someone else will have more respect for you. And that's men and women. Men, stop being a hoe. Okay? And the woman will have more respect for you. Trust me. Trust me. A woman does not want a man, even if she's a player, a woman does not want a man who runs around. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. I dated someone who had extra affairs. We weren't married. Extra affairs while we were together, engaged. Right? I guarantee you she would not be happy if I did that to her, which I never did. And I had plenty of opportunity because I would travel and whatever else, right? I had plenty of opportunity for work, right? So I was self-employed, but I would travel, right? I had plenty of opportunity, but that's not me. That's not who I am, right? Because I definitely value the intimacy part of the physical intimacy part and the sacral, right? Energy that I share with the person that I am in an intimate physical and spiritual relationship with. Okay, so celibacy is restricting yourself from the physical urges. Okay, and this does wonders for you men from a spiritual perspective. And I'm going to get into your lower chakras and your spinal cord and how all of this is married together. All of this is married together to hopefully, when managed properly, and I'm not talking about for life. I'm not even talking about until you get married. Okay, I'm not going there because, to be honest with you, I'm not dumb enough to, or naive enough to believe that that is what is required of you. Is that required of some? Probably. But I believe it's required of all for a period of time to be celibate, because we all come here, right, and are birthed into this earthly place, this 3D matrix, and from the get-go, okay, we are in need of something. If you're an infant, you're crying for a tit. It's just we are always in need of something from a physical aspect. We are always crying out for something, Okay, whether it's companionship, the bottle, and I mean the bottle infant baby, but it could also be the alcoholic bottle. It could be some substance that doesn't really do your body well, that you have become addicted to. It could be sex. You could be addicted to sex. It could be pornography, which is if you're going to practice celibacy, and again, this is not a decision. Let me say this. This is not a decision that you should make, because I believe this. It's like making a decision to fast, whatever type of fast. If it's the spiritual fast, the physical fast, the water fast, or whatever you want to do, right? The reason why fasting doesn't work when you're doing it for a spiritual reason is when you're doing it outside of being actually directed to do it. Okay, so if the minister says, we're going to go on we're going to do a 3-day fast, right? First of all, there are all types of fasts, as I've mentioned. Okay, you could do a fast away from food, away from sweets, away from red meat, away from again alcohol, away from cigarettes, away from pornography, away from sex, you can fast from a lot of things, all right? And celibacy is a type of fasting. Okay, and so within your body, you hear me talk a lot of times about your chakras. Okay, we have 114 of them are all around us. Okay, your spinal cord, 33 vertebrae, 33. Yeshua lived 33 years. 33 is the last master number. Okay, and that is the rarest of master numbers. Okay, if you're a master number 33, and you are still wondering, it doesn't matter what your number is, but I'm talking about 33. If you are master number 33, you are the rarest of master numbers. And yeah, you should probably seek some type of spiritual mentor or someone of some sort. We all should, perhaps at some point. And yeah, at some point. So within your body, you have all of this design. And what I'm now looking into, just as a side note, what I'm now looking into is how the body relates to scripture. So Yeshua 33 years represents those 33 vertebrae in man's body. Do you see where I'm going with this? So how the Bible could quite possibly be something completely different than what we thought. So we read the Bible and we think it's a bunch of stories. What if the Bible was a book that outlines the kingdom being within us? So again, Yeshua 33, we have 33 vertebrae in our spine, and I know I'm tapping into something that is so rarely known or so rarely spoken about that I'm going to leave that right there. Okay, and do a lot of research on my own, and I'll come back at some point with a whole lot more information and downloads for that. But I know I'm tapped into something there. And so in your lower chakras, you have your root chakra, okay, which is located at the base of your spine. And then you have your sacral chakra, which is located just below your navel, your belly button, okay? And then you have your solar plexus chakra, which is located just below your sternum or your rib cage, okay? So root chakra red, orange for the sacral, and yellow or gold for the solar plexus. Okay, man? All right. And so this is what happens. This is the process in a nutshell, and what happens when we decide to be celibate. Okay. And again, that is from, you can be celibate and still be affectionate. Okay. So what does this mean? Men, can Can you kiss a woman and it not lead to sex? Can you hold hands with a woman and it not lead to sex? Right? Because you have control over yourself instead of your penis having control over what you do. Okay? So in the beginning, that probably might be difficult, especially if you've never restrained and you've had, you're a player, right? You've probably never gone through, or you may have never gone through any considerable time without a sexual partner since you've been sexually active, which for most of us is a teenager, right? So my first girlfriend, it's my daughter's mother, and we dated for 4.5 years or something, 16 to 20. And so I met her, actually, I was 2 months into, I think, being 17, actually. Yeah. So we dated from 17 to 20 maybe, 20 something, 20 and a half or something like that. I don't know. All right. When I went into the military. Okay. And so during that time, she was the first person that I was with. Okay. And obviously back then, again, I was born an infant, right? Physically, just like you. And I'm trying to there was never time until I was definitely out of the military. I was definitely out of the military, or getting out. Maybe going into the last year, into year 7, when I got back from, I had a deployment in like 2000 into 2021 into 2001, and I think when I got back from that deployment, I think I had changed quite a bit, but I don't still think. I think I was still seeing someone, I had started to see someone when I got back from that deployment. That was a German lady who I had started dating when I was in Germany, but I had come back to the States, and she came over and she spent 3 months over here. And so I don't think the first time I recall ever practicing or really being convicted and driven to be celibate was after a relationship that ended in 2006. I had also gotten a DUI. I was rebellious. I was mad, frustrated with God and Most High at that time. I didn't want to get out of the military, really. I really didn't. And things weren't going that way or well in the civilian sector because the civilians aren't military, and there's something about me that doesn't like that because the civilians lack order, and the civilian sector is chaotic, and so they lack the discipline and order and structure that fit me so well in the military, and so that was a challenging time for me. That transition was a bit challenging for me. All right, so in 2007, right, I rededicated myself to Most High, and I told him I didn't care whatever was going on in my life from now on. I would die committed to him. I would die committed to Most High. I made that decision in 2007. Again, I'd already gone through the religious process, baptized. I was actually baptized in 2008 again by the senior minister at the Rock in Florida, whose name is Steve. And I know that was divine, and I knew I needed him to do that. He was my spiritual father at that time, and I was accountable to him, just like a son is to his father as the child is being raised by their father. Okay? So, yeah. But growing up, I did the Lord forgive me for my sins, blah, blah, blah thing, right? And so in 2007, when I decided that I was done living the way that I wanted to live, the way that Kevin wanted to live, I was done with that. When I decided that, there were some drastic changes that took place, and one of those was celibacy, and it was my first stint of celibacy. So from 2007 to 2010, right, there was 3 years of celibacy. And then from probably 2011 to 2000, because I was in Atlanta for a while, there was nothing happening up there. There was no one up there that I was intimate with or anything. And so, because again, I had already started to, spiritually, I was already starting to transform internally. And so then 2011 or so, I got married in 2015. And so there was another span there. And then so now this time has been August of 2022. And so here I am. Okay. And so what happens with us internally, men, when we decide that we are going to, and again, I keep saying decide, but this really needs to be an unction from Holy Spirit, because if you go, as I was going to say, when you do a fast, if you just like, I'm going to do a fast. If it's not spirit-led, it's not going to work, and it's not going to produce whatever fruit, whatever cleansing, whatever it's supposed to provide. It's not going to do that, okay? Excuse me. This is why you should never do things like this, fasting and things, just because someone else says so. Okay? So, in your lower chakras, again, I mentioned the 33 vertebrae, right? So, these energetic points, they flow up and they flow down. Okay? And so what happens when in celibacy is when you are able to harness that internally, first of all, that's going to help your confidence. That's going to help your strengthen you. And there's scientific and spiritual proof that this is what happens when we restrain ourselves and keep this vital serum. Then this men and women, we keep this serum within ourselves, right? It travels up those 33 vertebrae, man, and into your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is in your skull. It is at the top. So the root is at the base of your spine. Your pineal gland is at the top of your vertebrae, and it is internal in your skull. Scientific fact. We all have a pineal gland. True story. Okay? And so this connects with your crown and your third eye directly between your eyebrows. Okay, so when you restrain yourself, this is why it's often said, athletes, it's better to not, especially for men. Again, I don't know about women, but for men, it's advised that, a day or two before a game, right, you probably should not be sexually active, right? Because it takes away the edge. It takes away from your solar plexus. It takes, because there's energy, there's strength in there. Okay? There's strength in there, right? That's what testosterone compared to estrogen, right? There's strength in there. So, okay, man, if nothing else, you don't have to do it for a physical reason. If you are wanting to mature spiritually, you are feeling lost, you want a better connection with your children, you want a better connection with your spouse, even if you don't get the better connection with your spouse, you might be redirected. That's not even the contractual spouse that you signed the contract with in the ethers before you were birthed here, right? So then you become enlightened about yourself. You cannot become enlightened about yourself and who you really truly are if you're running around screwing everything that opens its legs or spreads its cheeks. You cannot. You cannot. You cannot accomplish both simultaneously. You cannot do it. Okay? And again, I'm not speaking to celibacy for the rest of your life. I am not saying that. Okay? I'm not saying celibacy until you're married. I'm not saying that. Okay? What I'm saying is, because I know for sure we have soulmates. So we have soulmates, we have divine soulmates, we have divine counterparts, and then we have the rare twin flames. Okay? And so, or the one in a lifetime type of twin flame thing, right? Should you be fortunate enough to meet your twin flame. Again, as challenging as that connection is, right? It definitely comes to make you stronger. And that's not a pun intended because of what I'm saying, right? There's that COMES. And so when we're looking at ourselves and what we want to, really the strength we want to garner, men, the confidence you want to garner, men, if you deal with low self-esteem, okay? If you deal with low self-esteem, stop masturbating so much. Stop looking at pornography and stop having sex. I guarantee you, your confidence is going to change. If you hold on to that and stop releasing it at every given opportunity, okay? Go a month without releasing any, for whatever reason, just go a month and see what happens. It might drive you crazy if you've never done that. It might, but it's a good crazy. Okay. So that energy within your body that you harness when it flows up those 33 vertebrae and into your pineal gland. Okay. This is a spiritually enlightening time and it opens up your crown chakra. Okay. And that is your divine consciousness, men. Okay, and women, if you're listening, that is your divine consciousness, your crown on top of your head. Okay, that is the 7th chakra. Okay, and that is your window, if you will. That is your fiber optic cable to divine source, Most High, Yahweh God, divine deity. Okay, that is the Most High divine deity. That is that connection there. Okay. So, right now I'm thinking of the guy who's always wanted the girlfriend. He's probably in his early 20s. He was maybe the awkward guy in school. Okay. And so because he was down on himself, because of his lack of physical intimacy or his feeling the inability to attract a woman, okay, this individual, they end up going to pornography, okay? And again, this is just the situation I'm seeing in my head, okay? Because they seek a physical intimacy that they do not believe they're qualified for. That type of individual, young man, young woman, okay, you need to work on, one, first of all, not watching that stuff, okay? Because again, anything can become an addiction. Anything, okay? If you're a musician, you can become so dedicated to your work that you end up shutting out your family, friends, and everybody else in your life. Even though you're passionate and you're doing what you love and blah, 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 you can overindulge in anything. And most often we do that against our physical bodies. Again, whether it's alcohol, physical sex, the daredevil stunts in life that we choose to take, whether that's Evel Knievel type of stunts or sleeping around type of stunts. That's a risk, okay? Because you're literally going from partner to partner, and it's just like this, okay? So on the first layer, you have your first sexual encounter, and then literally it's just mounting up on top of that, right? You remember when you were in school and used to like do the hands stacked on top of each other? I don't even know why we did that. I don't recall why we did that. Yeah, that is exactly what's happened. So if you can imagine the spiritual or the energetic gunk that has been chalked up in your lower sacral chakras, or excuse me, in your sacral chakra and your confidence and all, you end up leaning towards your confidence coming through the amount of women that you have etched in your headboard, right? That is a false sense of security, just like a job is. Okay? They're both false security. And if you don't believe me, again, I challenge you to go a month without masturbating, a month without sex. Can you do it? Can you do 30 days? Okay? And then you get to see, as this fluid, this serum flows up into your pineal gland, you will begin to experience something called Kundalini. Okay? And the Kundalini is the upward flow. It's the catalyst, okay, that opens up your crown chakra and takes that energy that flows from your sacral and your root and from your solar plexus, right? And it really alchemizes that into you becoming more connected with the divine. And then you start receiving downloads, okay? And then you become in tune with your spiritual self. Most people are not in tune with their spiritual self. Most people drag around their spirit man or woman like it's a lost dog. That's how most people treat their spirit man, like it's a lost dog. Duh. Every now and then you look at it. What do you want? Can't you see I'm doing whatever the hell I want to do? What do you want? Right? That's how most of us treat our spirit. Right? But today, for me, I can tell you for sure, my spirit gets this physical man up every day. My spirit wakes this up. Okay, it's not the other way around. My flesh has very little control over what Nehru does today. Very little. Okay, I tell it what to do. I'll be like, no, shut the fuck up, Kevin. Right? I do. Sit down, shut up. Right? That's not true. Whatever it is, and I do that. I check myself. Okay? You need to do that because if you do not, again, right, you're ignoring the opportunities to spiritually get to know who you really truly are, because who you really truly are is not some rambunctious, sex-crazed fiend running around having polyamorous and polygamous relationships. That's really not who you are, okay? That is the low vibration side of you that has no control and given into the sexual urges of your 3D matrix self. That's who that is. That's your lower vibration self. That's your lowest vibration self, because you give no regard for your temple. And this is, again, going back to the temple is within you, the 33 vertebrae. I was going to say something about the rivers in your mind and how that's fire. Wherever that's going, wherever Most High is taking me with that, that's going to be a mind-blowing, busting video. And so Kundalini, okay? So Kundalini is in a higher vibrational awareness, okay? And so you can look on YouTube, okay, and find a Kundalini meditation or Kundalini music or Kundalini activation, okay? And if you listen to these, okay, these types of meditations, these frequencies also help these lower chakras, this energy, this serum, it allows this fluid to flow up to. So it kind of helps aid this. Okay? Right? So that is a tool that you can use in your meditation, right? It's as equally and as important as that you ground yourself. Again, the root chakra is that. Okay? That's what's part of those lower three. Okay? And so when you experience lost, okay, you see something, wow, I say something, when you see her or him and you're like, damn, you know, or they want to holler at you, however it goes, right? I can tell you for sure, and this is not bragging, and of course neither is it a lie. I have been laying naked with women and I've said no. I've actually done that. I'm like, no. Because I don't know. Something just wasn't right in the moment. I don't know. But that's a true story. It's literally happened. Okay. So this also helps when you are able to harness this without releasing it. Okay. And so in scripture, we hear about the scripture about I don't even know the whole whatever. I know what religion preaches. Religion says, the scripture that talks about the guy who spilled his seed on the floor and blah, 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 blah. There's all types of interpretations for that. So, but yeah, that's left up to interpretation, and I'm not even going to entertain that, okay? Because I don't want to be honest with you, I believe that was just a situational type of situation. I do believe that, okay? And here's why. And again, sorry for the graphics or however that goes, all right? But this is why I'm going to be creating a podcast, because YouTube is politically correct, and politically correct hides the truth. Politically correct is garbage. Politically correct is what all the politicians are doing now. That's why they won't release the records. That's why they won't send out the truth. That's why they won't give you the emails. That's why they won't give you the access to the phone records. This is why they won't give you information to the faxes and right? This is why money that's in the U.S. can be used for public and private tenders, because there's stuff that happens behind the scenes. So, yeah. Right? And so politically correct is BS. That's what politically correct is. So it also helps with your creative power, because your creative power comes from your sacral chakra. That's associated with creativity, reproduction, and so your ideas, whatever those might be, your creativity, that idea or whatever that you created on canvas, that business idea, that whatever, that comes from your sacral chakra. So if it's clouded because you're running around and effing everything that will allow you to, or let you, okay, you're not harnessing that information even for a period of time. Like I said, 30 days, right? You'd be amazed how much this changes you. Right. And what I was going to say about that scripture is, in intimate moments, even if you are with your significant other or your spouse. Okay. So let's say for men. All right. So typically, man, when you're done, okay, get up, go to the restroom. Typically, there's a little extra that flows out. Right. Let's just say that. Okay. That scripture implies that if that hits the floor, then you are in sin. To me, that's a bunch of bullshit. You see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? That makes no sense whatsoever. So I believe that was just for that situation. Okay. And yet I also understand the tremendous benefits spiritually and naturally of celibacy. Okay. All right. So I hope that's clear, and I hope YouTube didn't get mad. I hope I was politically correct enough. So, yeah, right? There's no way Most High would condemn you for that. There's no way you'd go to hell for that. There's just not, no. Okay? So, if you're an artist of any type, you're a musician, you're a painter, you are a model, you are an actor, you are an actress, you are in the arts of some sort, you would benefit even more so from stints of celibacy. Okay? And I honestly advise this directly after a relationship ends, because it recalculates you, it recalibrates you. Okay, so a relationship or a marriage ends. Don't jump. Men are notorious for this, and it's strange to say that men are notorious for this. So men can't be dogs without women being itches. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, because that is a female dog. A female dog is a bitch. Okay, so there is no way that women can talk about men being dogs without the dogs having a cat that's giving them the cat for the man to be the dog. So you see that double standard? For men, women, how many women they get, it's a notch on the board. For women, they a hoe. There's a double standard there. The man, whether he recognizes it or not, he's a punk ass hoe too, who's running around sleeping with everybody. He's a hoe too. Just like she is. In different area codes. They got hoes. Right? All over, up and down the East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, wherever. Okay? So, if you're feeling as if you're lacking confidence, you're feeling as if you're lacking strength, right? You're lacking internal, again, self-confidence, self-love, okay? So for me, what are some ways, alternative ways that you can deal with being victorious during your celibacy time periods, okay? So one thing is to treat yourself, loving on yourself, right? And so at some point last year, towards the end of the year, I did like this 7-day, I was challenging those who were listening to do a 7-day love yourself focus, right? And I encouraged men to take care of themselves, treat yourself, right? Don't be afraid to, I was talking to a friend last night, a dear friend. It's amazing that now that the Mercury retrograde is over, in the last couple of days, I have had reconnection with some true soul tribe partners, and one I met when I was in the military, and then the other I met when I was 16 in Florida, and she's part of the General Cinema crew from Altamont. And there's like 30 of us, and there's like 4 marriages from that group, and it's really a unique situation. And we talked a lot about that last night, but it was such a great conversation and reconnecting. And this is not an intimate thing or anything, but I know for me, she's a Scorpio. I know for me, no, not that Scorpio. Good Lord, no, not the twin flame Scorpio. No, she's a nice one. So, we were talking and reminiscing and all of that, and just rejoicing over what a unique group that is. You have a group of 30-something teenagers that are on this job for 4 to 5, 6, 7, 8 years together, and then you have 4 or 5 marriages that come from that. All of those marriages are still intact today, and we're 30-something years down the road from 16. It's just such a unique group. 44 minutes exactly when I look down at the clock. It's just those divine connections and things, and that has nothing to do with celibacy. But we were, I know for me, and this is where I'm going with this. So there are other ways to stimulate yourself, okay? So I know for me, in any relationship or just in general friendship, I need to have stimulating conversation. It can't just be about football. It can't just be about politics. It just can't be even about spirituality. It needs to be engaging. And I know for me, whether that's a physical, an intimate relationship, okay, or if it's just if it's a platonic relationship, I need spiritual or intellectual stimulation, and I lose interest in a woman, no matter what the type of relationship it is. I lose interest in a woman when those things aren't stimulated, right? When I don't have the stimulating intellectual conversation. The conversation we had last night, we were on the phone for more than 7 hours. And it was literally nonstop conversation. It was like we had to like think of stuff to say. It was so rich. It was so, yeah. Right. But I remember, right, when we were back in 16, right, I was one of the very few people that she would talk to. And back then, everybody's a little awkward at that age, right? Everybody's kind of really just trying to kind of figure themselves out. You know, their backbone is finally going from, you know, starting to go from cartilage to bone, you know, type of thing. You're just kind of starting to kind of feel yourself out and come into your own and that sort of thing. You're making some childish decisions and some grown folks decisions at that age, right? Or trying to make some grown folks decisions. And even back then, we'd have the same conversations. And it was like that that's still there 30 something years later, right? But for me, right, I'm speaking to other ways to stimulate yourself. Okay. So if you want to pick up a hobby, okay, that's a way that you can utilize this creative energy that you are choosing to not give out to someone else, release into someone else, or release onto wherever, the floor or whatever, right? This is a way to do this. So if you want to pick up I want to learn piano, right? And at some point, I'm going to take lessons or whatever. Teach myself or something, right? I want to learn how to play piano just for my own enjoyment so that I can sit there with my glass of wine and just play until my heart's content. I want to do that, right? Just like I learned how to play the drums without lessons when I was a kid, and the electric bass guitar when I was in Germany because my roommate had one, and so I picked it up, right? And yes, it's been many years since I've played, so I'm dusty for sure, right? But okay, these are opportunities. You want to pick up painting. You want to pick up some sport, a physical sport, cycling or something. These are wonderful ways to alchemize this energy to where it's going to be beneficial for the long term, not just externally, but also internally. Again, it's your divine consciousness that you are opening up when you decide that you are going to restrain your physical urges, the 3D urges, to focus on the internal self, the true you. Okay, because the person you see in the mirror, right? My eyes are brown. My physical eyes are brown. Those eyes are not the real who I am. Okay? The real who I am is extraterrestrial. So those eyes are probably big, fat, black, bulb looking. I don't know what they look like. Right? So you want to get to know who you really truly are, man. Internally, spiritually, it's going to take a time of celibacy. If you want to heighten your spiritual awareness, your intuition, if you want to get away from making bad choices in women, if you want to get away from making bad choices with men, friendships, it doesn't matter whether you consider yourself heterosexual or homosexual. If you do not take times out in your life, again, ideally directly after a relationship ends, because you are the common denominator. That's something her and I talked about. You are the common denominator in every single relationship that no longer exists in your life today that failed. Whether you were the physical reason why it failed or you see it that way or not, you are the common denominator in every one of your relationships that no longer exist today. For whatever reason they failed, you are the common denominator. There's no way getting around that. Because you are the other half of the relationship. No way around that, man. Take accountability. Take accountability. Okay? So that's a way, is picking up a hobby. Okay? Another way is to be intimate with yourself. Okay? So what do I mean? Love who you are. Your face, your hands, your arms, your body overall, right? And take care of that, right? Most men don't take care of their feet. They don't take care of their hands. They don't have a skin routine. Start picking up these things and loving yourself. This is another way that you can, again, self-love, so that you can stop looking for love in all the wrong places, looking for love, right? Stop looking for love in all the wrong places and in places that do not serve your good, because there is no one ever, man. There is not a woman. Again, if you are a homosexual, there is not a man. If you are bisexual, there's not a man or a woman who is going to get you spiritually to where you need to be, because their kingdom is within them, not your kingdom. Okay? Your kingdom is not within them. And their kingdom is not within you. You and you alone, your kingdom, them and their kingdom. Completely separate. So, stop mingling the seed, your seed, with seeds that do not serve your good. Speaking of that friend, she just sent me a link. I didn't see what it was for, but she just sent me a link for something. I don't know what it was. I'll take a look and check it out when I'm done here. This is going to be a little more challenging, and that is, I do believe it happens once you experience the Kundalini activation, right? And again, you can only experience the Kundalini activation when you restrict yourself from the physical, sexual urges that we as humans generally so easily give out. Okay? And again, everything's sexual today. Everything. Okay? Everything's focused on sexual. And so it's funny because everything's focused on the sexual, and people, women, generally, women wear less. Okay? And men are more confused. I'm going to say that again. Women wear less and men are more confused today, sexually. Women wear less and men are more confused, and yet we see where this has led society. AIDS wasn't enough to stop us. HIV wasn't enough to stop us. Herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea, genital warts, none of this has been enough to stop us. Sodom and Gomorrah did not teach us anything. What did we learn from them, from those cities? Nothing. From the destruction of them, we learned nothing from Sodom and Gomorrah. I remember in high school, as a junior year, taking a sexual education class. And I remember them showing us screenshots of all the diseases, and everybody like, right? But most of them were probably sexually promiscuous at that time. Even though they're like, that looks like cauliflower. Right? Yeah. And again, I was seeing my daughter's mother at that time. We went to the same high school. Right? I was committed to one. Okay? So, and that was still too early, by the way. Let me just say that. That was way too early. 16, way too early. But again, all that goes back to the home. Okay, so these conversations that I'm having with grown men today, right, and women, these conversations here need to be had with a child when they're 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Teach them the value of who they are, and that they are priceless. They are invaluable. They are gold. Okay? Show your son and daughter how valuable they are. Men and women, you do this by first loving them and showing them the way that they need to be treated. My daughter today, my eldest daughter, she can tell you today that despite whatever her life choices are or whatever she does, I treat her with respect. I open the door for her. She's 26 years old today. I still treat her like a lady. I did when she was 11 or 12 or 13 or 14 or 15. She needed to be hemmed up a couple of times during those years, but I still treated her like a lady. Okay? I respected her. I never treated her like trash. I always tried to let her know, look, this is how you should be treated. Anyone who does not speak to you with respect, anyone who does not open up, you go out with a man and he does not open the door for you, walk back into the house or just stand there and look at him like he's dumb. Chivalry. Look at him like he's dumb. What are you doing? Why are you standing there? My daddy opens the door for me, and he said if a man don't open the door for me, I can either leave or look at him like he's dumb. So that's why I'm standing here. And my daughter, she got my fire, boy, let me tell you. And she would say it. She would say it. Okay? So she hasn't quite learned how to harness that, and she's still kind of a wild child in that regard. She hasn't learned how to manage that well, I don't think yet. She's getting there. And so again, I had to too, because growing up I was just like her, right? And my first instinct was to fight. I grew up in the hood. She grew up in very nice suburb, good family, right? She grew up in that. Very different than when I grew up, man. I grew up with drive-bys and stuff. She didn't deal with that. So very, very different, at least until I was 11. She didn't deal with that stuff. So, but she has that fire. She has that fight in her. She is a freedom fighter. She's a justice fighter. I told her that when she was a teenager, when she was taking up for her friends and strangers in high school, Hopefully she uses that for some good at some point in time. That's what I encourage her to do. And so, men, if you are in between relationships, or one is about to end, or when it does end, I encourage you, take some time, get to know who you really truly are. Go a little while without the physical intimacy from another. Love on yourself. Love yourself. Okay? You are going to be amazed, surprised, and delighted at the results. Your confidence, you'll find that you actually don't even need a woman, and you get to a point where it's just the desire of when you want to. And then when you do, you want to go out and you want the company of a woman, you can call your friend or whatever else. And when I say friend, I mean, I'm speaking of, it could be a platonic friend, it could be a whatever, no friends with benefits. That, again, that's a backtracking, not that type of friend, okay? Again, because if you have a friend with benefits, that's really a polyamorous situation, and they probably have friends who are giving them benefits in addition to your benefits, okay? The last thing I'm going to say is probably going to surprise you. This is what I experienced when I went through my first stint of celibacy. And again, it was 3 years, 2007 to 2010. This is what I experienced physically. I actually experienced physical growth there. Do you see what I'm saying, man? 59 minutes when I look down at the timer on the video. Confirmation with that dog bark. I actually experienced physical increase, growth, okay? So I'm not saying in any shape, form, or fashion that this is a guarantee for everyone every male who decides to live a celibate life for a period of time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm telling you that was my blessing for doing what I was guided to do by Most High at that time. Okay? And again, uniquely, the first time, out of obedience the first time. Okay? So, men, harness this energy. Kundalini awakening is waiting for you. It's a catalyst to open up your crown chakra and your divine consciousness. Let's get there, man, so that we can be better fathers, better mentors, better CEOs, better employees, better entrepreneurs, better leaders, better freedom fighters, closer to divine, most importantly, and closer to who we really truly are, and that kingdom is within us self. Okay, can we do that? Are you up for the challenge, man? For a period of time, are you up for it? Okay, if you have questions about this or anything else at any other given point in time, you want to contact me. My email address is theencourager333@gmail.com. Okay, and thank you so much again for listening, all of you. My name is Nehru. You've been tuned into The Encourager. And again, thank you so much to our subscribers and those who are listening in for the first time, perhaps, this channel. And the purpose of it and anything else that I do moving forward is to help us heal. Help us heal our sacral energy, our sexual energy, help us heal childhood wounds, help us whatever. And it's all focused on and centered around us becoming our highest, purest, truest forms possible. And that is the Kundalini within you. That is the Christ anointing, the Yeshua in you. That is the ascended master within you. That's what that is. The light worker in you, the starseed in you. That's what that is. The earth is crying out for that today. If you don't believe me, look at the chaos. The earth is crying out for you and your spiritual ascension. Are you up for the challenge? Thank you so much for tuning in. You've been tuned into The Encourager. Enjoy your day, and as always, be encouraged.